Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 independent comics. Ezra Miller killing the universe? The DC universe? How could that be? Well, let's get into the article in The Guardian. We'll go over it together. Before we do, be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications and give me a like if you like it. It's a huge help. Will Ezra Miller kill off DC's superhero universe? The actor's legal troubles are yet another problem for Warner Brothers' floundering franchise. Is it time to wipe the slate clean? Let me know in the comments below what you think. Should they just get rid of the whole DC universe and start all over again? I mean, maybe. So Warner Brothers wants to reset the DC superhero universe again. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Chief Executive David Zaslav, aka Zaz, recently told investors that the studio, now Warner Brothers Discovery after the mergers, has a new 10-year plan for the comic book mega-saga that it hoped would ape the success of Marvel. Of course, the Marvel Universe. All of which, the recent cancellation of Batgirl aside, sounds more fantabulous than Harley Quinn executing a backflip. Until we realize how many times we've been there before. The original plan for DC was to build a universe of interconnected films around Zack Snyder's 2017 Justice League movie featuring Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and The Flash, among others. How could this go wrong? Well, that movie actually flopped, did not do well, and after Snyder left midway through development and was replaced by Joss Whedon as a director. Warner executives subsequently panicked and began focusing on standalone movies that had done well, such as Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman. Have you seen the new Wonder Woman? Or Todd Phillips' Oscar-winning Joker. All of a sudden, there was less emphasis on making sure each movie helped set up the next chapter, also known as continuity in the writing and the editorial business, Marvel style, and more on giving filmmakers creative freedom. Well, that creative freedom was really good for Joker, wasn't it? That really worked out. And it was good early on for Wonder Woman. Really worked out. But did you see the recent Wonder Woman? And Joker 2, maybe good. There's some strange stuff they're talking about doing. I can't imagine they'll do too badly. But I will say this. There's something to be said for continuity and aesthetics when you're publishing, and when you're publishing a universe. The look, the feel, the expectation, the style. And you can have different stories, you know, and Marvel does it, honestly, Marvel does it really well, where they mix genres. It's not, you know, just superhero action. It's like superhero action mixed with sometimes horror or fantasy or science fiction. They do it well, yet it all still feels like a Marvel product. And they have done a lot of weird things with trying to insert strange changes with characters representing things like just for the sake of diversity and inclusion and things like that. That upsets the continuity, but they have enough momentum that they can afford to take some losses and some punishment on that and damage their brand a little bit just to please the people that want to insert things that have nothing to do with the story and the ongoing universe. But that said, you know, if you try to make these standalone hits and then you have different visions coming from different creators and different directors, they don't fit together very well. That's the problem. Not with continuity, not with story, not with style or aesthetics. Let me know what you think in the comments below if you agree. Or hopefully you disagree. Let's get into some interesting debate in the comments. Then came Matt Reeves' brooding and esoteric The Batman, featuring a version of the Caped Crusader who seems about as likely to ever meet Superman as the conservatives are of understanding the cost of living crisis. Well, that's rather political. I think that people that know how to do their checkbooks, which a lot of conservatives do, know that, yes, there is a cost of living crisis, and perhaps it's not the fault of the people that are not in charge. Maybe it is. I don't know. But that's okay, because someone at Warner's decided, oh, that's The Guardian, they always have to do that. Someone at Warner's decided to give Snyder the chance to reshoot Justice League for the company's new HBO Max streaming project. Obviously, Jason Kilar And quite a lot of people actually like the new 4-hour epic, which means that film's Batman, played by Ben Affleck, achieved a sort of mini renaissance after all that sad Affleck stuff. And all of a sudden, it's back in the picture, namely in the forthcoming Flash and Aquaman films. Perfect, you might think. Warner now has a younger, darker Batman who can navel-gaze around his Gotham mansion and take out bad guys to the strains of Nirvana, okay, and another older one who's cool with meeting other superheroes and possibly venturing into the DC multiverse. Everybody wins. Do you think the multiverse stuff is a bit confusing? You know, I mean, they just started kind of doing that with Doctor Strange, and now we have multiple Spider-Mans that all exist sort of together, but not really. I know why, you know, you do it, and it creates some interest, but what is that going to build into in 5 or 10 years? You know, is it going to be as confusing as the comics, where the stories are completely, you know, one-offs basically, and they're all meaningless, and there's no larger story? I don't know. Let me know what you think. Except this doesn't tally at all with the carefully curated Marvel-style universe that Warner Brothers seems to want. At some point, the studio is going to need to decide if it wants to give filmmakers the creative reins or hire a Marvel-style Supremo like Kevin Feige, who basically rules the roost and makes sure that all these movies interconnect in style as well as narrative. I think you know what my choice would be. You know, if you want anything near the success that Marvel had, you need to be able to make promises with a brand that is consistent and keep those promises. You can't have separate creatives come along and take major parts of your brand, like iconic characters, and have them be completely off-brand of what a universe title is supposed to be. It's not going to work. It's not going to, because there's no consistency. You know, if you're into comics, it's kind of like when they used to have, you know, a creator would work on a comic series for 2 or 3 years. He's obviously really interested in the series. And then kind of no matter who replaces that creator, whether, you know, you replace the writer and especially you replace the artist, even if the person is good, it's just different. It's not what you expected. And there's a big disconnect there. You don't get what you were expecting. And when you have that disconnect, you lose a lot of value for the customer, for the consumer. Warner's appears to want both, but the result currently looks more like throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks than a considered 10-year plan. Well, they don't have any leadership for the 10-year plan. You know, Zaslav has said he wants a DC Kevin Feige to run up that studio. Well, that's fine, but till you have that person, it almost doesn't matter what plan you do, because obviously if you got Kevin Feige or a photocopy of him or a duplicate, you know, you would say, hello, Kevin clone, and he'd be there and he'd say, he wouldn't be saying, okay, great, give me your plan. He'd be making his own plan. So the giant mess that DC has become on the big screen looks even worse when we consider that Warner's is reportedly now considering scrapping The Flash, its Spider-Man No Way Home style multiverse movie, due to the negative publicity surrounding star Ezra Miller. I mean, can you imagine? Billions of dollars at stake, all this work, all this attention, all these people, and Ezra Miller just can't keep it together. I mean, he's 29 years old. Is it because he's turning 30 that he's going nuts? I don't know. I haven't quite hit 30 yet myself. All right, I passed 30. All right, tell me how old you think I am in the comments below. All right, I will answer it. According to The Hollywood Reporter, there is no way to reshoot the $200 million project, which is basically loosely on the 80s comic storyline Flashpoint, because Miller is in almost every scene. Well, use CGI. Put a cartoon in instead of him. I mean, I don't know. Do something. At this point, we might ask ourselves if Zaslav and his team should really be thinking about starting all over again. There comes a point for every creative where you have to look at the work you've done and decide if it just doesn't work. We've been there before. If Warner's really wants a reset, perhaps it would be best served starting with a clean slate. This surely would be better than continuing to try to stop a franchise that increasingly resembles a late-stage Jenga game from collapsing into a pile of rubble. Well, there is a major problem with continuity. There's a major problem with the movies setting up future movies, which is something that Marvel has been doing since Kevin Feige was involved. And it made a major difference. You go back and look at those Phase 1 Marvel movies, which I've done quite a bit of lately, actually for my work. Yeah, there's a lot of setup. There's a lot of payoff. It's interesting, and it's far from perfect, but the structure is there. The structure is there where one project serves another project, and before you know it, you've built the Avengers in the background, and that was a massive, massive success. And that was when they really knew they had the platform under control, and they could kind of spin off additional films and whatever they wanted off of an unstoppable, powerful Marvel Cinematic franchise. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Love to see what you have to say. Again, please do subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up if you like it, okay? Again, it is a huge help. And I will see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.